All right, welcome back to the full build series on the RC10B6.4 build. Super excited as this is the final bag to complete this build. It's bag 10, which is going to be the electronics install here, and I've kind of like laid it out the way I'm going to do it, just placing everything in here. And then the battery and motor fan stuff. So yeah, let's get started. The first step the manual has you do is install the motor. And it is critical you put the motor in first before you do the fan. Also, I like to put in the sensor cable wire, as it can be slightly challenging to feed in. So we're going to plug that on this motor side now, and then I'm going to feed it because it's going to go through this channel underneath the waterfall like so. And this is actually, this wire is quite a bit longer than it needs to be. I'm actually gonna at some point probably get a shorter sensor cable wire, but for now we're gonna feed that, I think, like just like that. Okay, so before we get going too crazy here, I want to secure this motor, and I like to have these wires just angled ever so slightly forward like they are. And it uses these 8mm screws with a washer. And I'm gonna put a little bit of thread lock as well, because these screws with the vibration of the motor, you can definitely have them come loose. Make sure these go in easily, because you don't want to strip out your motor. Put that one in, and right now I just loose install it because you're going to need to adjust your motor for gear mesh. Take a peek at this bottom hole. Okay, so we put the pinion gear on, and then you want to set the gear mesh, and when you do that, you want to check that you have a little bit of back play in the 4 quadrants of this gear. And you can, some people will use a piece of paper to set gear mesh. You can do that as well, but I've done so many of them, I just do it by feel. So we got that motor in there with the gear mesh set. We're gonna put this sensor cable in. Like so. And secure this. Just want to check my battery here. And this battery all the way forward. Okay. So yeah, it looks like we'll have plenty of room here to put that down. So yeah, really the next thing we want to do is I'm going to put some tape down to protect this wire and to keep it in place, and tape this thing down with double back tape. So yeah, get this thing about right there. And this double back tape, it came with the kit, which is super nice. It's pretty decent double back tape. So we'll put that down. We'll get this receiver down. Try not to put your fingers on, that was irritating, on the tape itself if you can avoid it. I get this transponder in. Yeah, they have a transponder mount on this car, but I'm gonna mount mine with tape because I want it just to be a little bit lower in the car. It's gonna be the first thing. This transponder and the receiver I want to put in first because I need to make sure I have enough room. Once I put the speed controller down. Alright, so the next thing here is we're going to install this fan on this mount. And, you know, it's important to understand which way the air blows because I like to blow air onto the motor, not suck it out. And so for me, this is the side that blows. And you're going to put it on this front side here where that bulge sticks out, and you're going to use these longer screws to secure it on here. Alright, so we got that fan on there, and then there's like a little square head there, and you got to make sure that sits in properly to install this fan. And yeah, the one thing I really don't like about this is I'm going to install this later because it blocks the slipper nut when you put that there. I actually like it in that angled spot, and so I am going to put it there, but I need to get my slipper set first before I put this on. And you'll have to take this thing off to adjust your slipper. I may actually leave that screw uncovered when I do my chassis protector, but for now I'm going to leave that off for that reason. So yeah, the next thing here is we're gonna look at, get this wire out of here, and then we're gonna look at, okay, that battery fits in good. If you have a lot of side-to-side play, Team Associated does have some little foam strips. Actually, I don't see them, but they came with this kit, but there is some that came with the older kits you could look at adding in there, but I don't need it for this. And so the next thing you want to do is install these little studs, and it uses a 7mm hex driver. I'm going to use this thing they gave me. Some of my old kits to get this thing started. Got that in finally. And so you want to set these studs to be just slightly, you want to put your battery in here and you want to set them to be just slightly above where your battery is, or actually more like flush with your battery. And so for me, I got this low profile battery, and so they're almost, you can see they're almost all the way down. Not quite. And again, the front one, not the back one, if you're going to push it all the way forward like I'm doing. The other critical thing is the stud has a long threads and short, and the longs are the ones that go into the car. So make sure you get that right too. There we go. So we got that installed. And then the next thing here is to put this battery top on. Let's cut this thing off the tree. That's all cleaned up. And so you got these slotted holes, which are for these little posts here. And the slotted holes, I believe, yeah, those go towards the back of the car. So they go like this, and is what you want to do is cut these off. And these smaller, not the super small, but the 6mm ones with a washer, and you're going to put these in sorry, I'm doing this. Screw those in like so, and you don't want to leave it slightly loose, so you can come in with your battery and make it fit your battery size, and then you can tighten them down. Alright, so we'll do the same with this one. So then bring this thing in. like so. Make everything snug against your battery, and then you can tighten these down. Okay, and then finally you got these little nuts. And they go on top here. Like so. Same 7mm. Make sure you tighten these down before you run. You don't have to do it necessarily now, but you do need to do it before you run. I can't remember the other thing you really want to do. Like this speed controller is already wired up from my last 6.2 build, and so everything works really nicely. But yeah, you just want to make sure that positive. I think I'm going to put my battery in this way instead and go with the way I got it. You can see my negative can't hit my positive, which is nice. So we'll stick it in that way. Okay. There we go. So now, okay, so we got these wires finally. I just bundled them all up with this shrink tubing. You can put your antenna wire and have an antenna here if you want, but I don't use that on my electric cars, so I routed that in with this wire. It's got some spare parts, spare posts for this battery. I haven't figured out what that spacer's for. These are different fan or no fan mounting options for back here. This is to secure the antenna tube, so we're not going to use that. This turnbuckle is, you can run a link from here to here instead of the waterfall, and it uses these and these as well. I'm not going to use that for now. I may try it later. We've got the wheel nuts here, which I'll just put on my axles so I don't lose them. This secures this brace on this battery mount if you're going to use that. I'm not. As well as this is for the brace, not going to use that. So yeah, we got a couple things left here. The final steps is putting the front wing and body on. And of course I still need to put this fan on, which is with one of these screws. For now, I'm gonna cut out those bodies. I use some body scissors to do that. I will show you that when I get back. All right, so coming back here, you can see that I've cut out this body. The one thing I did notice is it tells you this line here if you're going to run the fan in the 1 or 2 position, which I am. So I cut that out, but then it also tells you when you do that to take this inner line, but then there's a second sketch that says for the carpet version, this outer line. And so I kind of made my own line here and went with this outer line. And as it turns out, it fits pretty well. So, yeah, I would, if you're going to use the 1 or 2 fan, take this inside one. And, you know, I cut this inside one over here too, but you could have probably actually have left this one longer since the fan is only on one side. Probably would do it that way if I were to do it again, but overall, the biggest thing on cutting the body is I like to use these big long scissors to do these long straight lines. And then I use these Lexan scissors to come in and cut these back more tight sections and up in the front as well. And then finally up in here, there's not really a great scissor to do that. And so I ended up using a Dremel to grind that part out. Same with the wing, these longer scissors to cut these long straight lines, and then these smaller ones to go in and cut this. And this is actually not the stock wing. This is the Jcon, the carpet wing that Jcon makes. And then finally I use the Dremel to round these edges out as well on the back, these edges. And then this one, I pretty much cut all with the bigger scissors. They're all pretty much straight lines, so I cut those with the big scissors. And so really the final thing here is you need to drill the holes in these wings. And I use a body reamer to do that. I like to cut one out just a little bit here, and then just make sure you get them all lined up. And if you don't, you can kind of pull the holes a little bit if you need to. Yeah, and those holes, you know, there's dimples for these holes, so it makes it fairly easy. And then I like to do it from both sides to get this burr to go away. Another thing you should know is on these wings, they put a clear plastic on them. And for my cars, I normally leave it on until it starts to fall off on these front wing. And actually, I'm not sure this back wing has one, but I normally leave them on because they help to strengthen things up. So these little screws are what hold this front wing in. You just want to make sure you got those holes opened up big enough that they can fit through. So for this one, it looks like I need to just go just a tad more. There we go. So then, you know, I'll do the same with this rear wing, and it doesn't have dimples because it's not the factory wing, and so it's made for a bunch of different cars. And so I will like put some sort of mark on this wing and just barely make the space from the tower. Like, I don't have the spacers that kick this wing. These little spacers, I don't have those that kick it in. So I'll stick it like just barely a little bit of gap off the rear tower. And then you want to center it up and make sure it's somewhat aligned, and put some marks on there. You can use a Sharpie. But I'll figure that out. And the final step here is really just painting this body. And you can see I already put the window masks on, and the window masks, it's kind of hard to see, but the top ones are the full mask, and then there's smaller bottom ones, and those are used to put the actual, you can see in the box art, the silver around the windows, and so those, you can use them to put in the window frames, which is, you know, really nice if that's what you want to do. It's super easy to do it. And so this is going to be my practice body. So I'm just going to paint it one color. And really all you need to know when you paint, so the main thing to keep in mind when painting is, first you want to clean this body with some dish soap. Then you can take some Scotch-Brite and do that dish soap cleaning before you put these window masks on. Then you take Scotch-Brite and you can rough up the surfaces, like the smoother surfaces that you're going to paint. And then you want to apply the colors from darkest to lightest. And so for me, I'm going to do the main body color blue, and then the window frames in silver. So I'll paint the blue first and then the silver. But if you paint dark colors over light colors, it'll significantly darken the light colors. So just keep that in mind. And then you always paint from the inside, and the outside is covered in a protective film, so you don't have to worry about getting overspray on this outside. But make sure you paint it from the inside and use polycarbonate specific paint. So like I use the Tamiya polycarbonate paint. And I do not paint any of my wings because they just get beat up really bad and replaced all the time anyway, so I do not paint my wings. But you can paint the wing if you would like to, but I will not be on my cars. Anyway, I hope that helps, and I'll come back and show you the body when it's done, and we'll put it on the car, and that'll complete bag 10 of this build. Alright, so, you know, when I left off, I talked about how before I put this fan on, I wanted to set the slipper, and I was going to do a video for the slipper clutch, but like these pads are pretty aggressive right now, and I just didn't like the way that video is going to turn out. So what I can tell you is my screw sticks out of that nut by 1.7-ish, 1.8 millimeters, right in that range. So if you set your slipper that way, it should get you pretty close, and then you can put this fan on with the supplied screw. So the final step here is putting on this Velcro to hold the body on. And I cut these, if you cut the small ones up here for the front, 30 millimeters, and then the big ones for the side, 70 millimeters, it splits this thing up perfectly. And is what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick the furry stuff on the car itself so it doesn't like tend to scratch the body up. So we're going to put that on the car. And then we're going to put these smaller furry ones up here in the front, again on the car side. And then we'll come in and mark everything on the body and stick them on the body side. So you get that backing off, and then you're just going to stick this right in this flat area of the car. Right there. And then same for the other side. You can see where, basically right where the battery posts start is where I'm putting this. And then, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a Sharpie. Just put a little mark on this right where it is. The other thing you can do is stick it on the Velcro itself. So you can stick these pieces on here with the double back tape off and slip the body on, but I had varying levels of success doing it that way, and so I can control it a little bit more where it goes this way. If I can get the backing off. There we go. Yeah, you get this backing off, and then you can just slip it in there like so. So you can see there's just a little bit of a lip left there on that. And then we'll do the same thing in the front. So I'm going to finish this up, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, so we got all the Velcro on, and as what I'll tell you is on the bottom side and the front, I ended up trimming these from 30 mils to 20 mil. So you could make the sides, instead of 70, you could make them 80 if you want, but mine are at 70. And that has everything fitting good. So yeah, really the final thing with this build before I hit the track is I gotta make a chassis protector for it. And for mine is what I do is I just trace this chassis and put it on. I get a piece of carbon vinyl from like you can buy it for cars, like the normal big cars, off of Amazon. And so I buy that carbon fiber vinyl off of Amazon and just trace the chassis and cut it out and slap it on here. And so I will do that. I'm not going to do it on video, but I'll do it and I'll just show you guys what it looks like, and then that'll wrap up this video. Alrighty, well, we got the Velcro all mounted up here to mount the body, and then we also did the carbon fiber chassis protector. And I mean, really the only thing that's left, this is essentially all the manual provides, and then the only thing that's left is doing the radio setup. You want to set your endpoints for the steering servo to where it just goes to full lock in both directions. And then you'll definitely, when you get these on tires at full race weight, you're going to want to set the ride height with these the spring collars here. And then even though I've set all these to the setup that I'm using, these lengths, I'll just check the camber and toe to make sure it looks good. That's really all that's left, and this thing's ready to hit the track. So looking forward to seeing you guys out at Die Hard and some of the other places. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe.